Good to see you. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes GBD and Iron Gate and DuPont Circle, also Rustico, 2 locations, Alexandria and Ballston. Greg, always good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
What is on tap this week?
So this week, I feel like I keep bringing out these imperial stouts that
that's all right. Don't stop.
Yeah, like are based on some kind of candy, cookie, or confection or something.
So it's kind of the time of the year.
It is, right? Totally. So we did gingerbread stout, bourbon barrel aged gingerbread stout GBS from Hardywood last week, which is fantastic. And this week, lucky to get our hands on a new beer for the area from Off Color Brewing.
Oh yeah.
Which we talked about before. Yep. We did a collaboration with Off Color, as we did with Hardywood at Blue Jacket. But Off Color is John Laffler, Dave Bleitner, 2 great guys from Chicago who went to Siebel Institute, worked at Metropolitan Brewing together. John spent some time at Goose Island, Dave at Two Brothers. So they've got a great history of brewing. They make exceptional beers. But in fact, it's kind of interesting. Dinosmores is a beer you almost wouldn't expect from them because they're known for Troublesome, which is the low alcohol, mildly tart wheat beer, the Goza, right? Which we've done before. Scurry, which is a sort of clean and malty, full-bodied brown ale of sorts called Kotbusser from the old German days of brewing, and then Apex Predator, which is the Saison. With this one, they give us a 10.5% imperial stout called Dinosmores.
Dinosmores.
So you can imagine where it's coming from here. So an imperial stout that is brewed with vanilla, graham flour, as if it was graham crackers, a lot of marshmallow fluff.
Really?
And, yeah.
Honestly.
That's what they say. Although I can't even imagine
anything in it these days.
How you would get that out of your fermentation or your secondary vessels,
oh, yeah.
But yeah, so marshmallow fluff, which I think we're going to get right off the rip here, and some cocoa nibs as well. So s'mores in a glass.
First beer of the week of 2015, too.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
Hope you've had a happy new year. That's really nice. And, you know, it's just a hint of all the flavors you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, if you think you're going to drink a glass of liquid marshmallow, that's not it at all. You wouldn't even know, probably, if you hadn't told me.
I do think, yeah, when you know it, though, it's a different sort of vanilla character, which is really cool. But I think, to your point, the greatest thing about this is, like, it isn't just s'mores in a glass, necessarily, you know. And, you know, it's a tough thing for brewers, I think, sometimes, because this is a fantastically well-made imperial stout that has elements of those things without being overwhelming. I love it. But sometimes people will be like, oh, I expected it to be more this, this, and this. And, you know, it's just managing, I guess, expectations. Meanwhile, like the gingerbread stout, in comparison, is big-time ginger, you know, and cinnamon.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
compared to this.
So it's just fun to see the different ways that brewers go about it. And I like the subtlety of this, and I like how well integrated it is. And so, therefore, there are some beer drinkers out there who love imperial stouts, but maybe poo-poo some of these crazy additions. We could suggest this beer to them because it is first and foremost an imperial stout.
Well, I'd love to sit and talk with some big stout fans about this beer. As you know, I'm a hophead. I love stout. I don't buy it a lot. This is just a solid stout to me. All the different flavors aside. A question that I don't think I've ever asked, and again, to show my ignorance about beer in general, even though I love it so much. A Russian imperial stout. How is a beer designated a Russian imperial stout?
It's actually, I mean, it's a historic term. I've gotten away from utilizing that as a stylistic term for, like, within the restaurants on the menus and things like that. I tend to go for imperial stout because of how much the style has kind of changed. But I think sometimes when I do use Russian imperial stout, I'm talking about those classic imperial stouts that famously were exported from the British Isles to the Russian court in the old days.
So they went to Russia, didn't come from Russia.
Right. So they were famously, Catherine the Great is purported to have tasted these strong, expensive stout beers in England, loved their flavors and had them, and therefore had them exported. That's kind of the seemingly simple story of how it all began. But there is record of lots of beer being exported to Baltic states, just like there's lots of beer exported to India, not just India Pale Ale. So there was lots of things, but the story stuck, and it's always kind of had it's kept its Russian moniker for sure after that. So that's the original basis of the story.
So Catherine liked beer, thus she's Catherine the Great.
But that's a great point that you just made, though. I don't think I've ever actually considered that. I mean, in both cases of an India Pale Ale and Russian Imperial Stout,
it's going the other way.
Yeah, and you know, beers that gained a certain modicum more of success through export, and therefore kept the name of the country to which the beer was exported, as if you're naming it basically just concentrates on the commercial aspect of the beer, rather than a Belgian blonde ale is so much more about almost like the authentic craft and origin of the beer. It's just interesting to think about how many of these styles were influenced not just by old school origin methods, but also by the need to make money off these beers through export.
It's really nice beer. What would you pair it with?
This beer is, and we just talked about this the other day, it's like, what do you pair it with? Marshmallow fluff? I don't know. I do think, though, like, peanut butter goes awesome with fluff, you know, so maybe you do like peanut butter and jelly or something like that. S'mores themselves. But back to what we were saying before, this actually finishes kind of dry. And has like a really nice robust roast character to it. So I'm thinking about this more in a savory element with our kind of classic Imperial Stout pairing. So you've got the chili stew kind of goulash kind of thing that I think is rich and meaty. It's a mouthful just like the beer is. You've got some of your more like sweet savory food. I can see you doing this for like brunch and breakfast with pancakes and French toast. You could do it with foie gras, which has that kind of decadent dessert-like savory quality to it. And then, of course, you can go the meat side, which include, you know, your steaks, your duck,
peppercorn,
peppers everywhere. Yeah, mushrooms would be great as well.
All right,
blue
fantastic.
Cheese.
Blue cheese.
You got it.
Excellent, Greg. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another beer of the week.